So today we're back with another review, and we're going to be walking through how Next have designed their category section. Welcome to UserAndI, the channel where I explore all things UX and UI design. So immediately what stands out to me about this area is the images are gorgeous, they stand out, they pop. I'm not a huge fan of this little outline they have here, but the images sell it themselves. Problem that I find is when we come down to this area here, I think these titles could stand out more, maybe could show some differentiation between the main body and the title itself. They look like they're exactly the same size, they look like they're exactly the same font. Also, another thing that I'd want to change would be this section here. The spacing between the category section and the category buttons, the carousel buttons themselves could be bigger. The spacing between each of these items could be bigger as well. So that's immediately what stands out to me. This is the empty shopping bag page. So you would arrive at this page if you had items in your basket and you removed all of them, or if for some reason you went to the shopping bag and it was empty. So this in itself is an entire new section to the page, because the main functionality of the page is to show you what's in your shopping bag. So I think this area could do with maybe a division, just to separate it a little bit more, just to show that this isn't an entire page. Obviously with items in your basket, this page would look different, but we're going to design it. Let's see what we get to. So to kick things off, I'm going to crop our image here so that we have the next website fixed. I'm going to get rid of all my scribbles from the previous screen. I'm going to lock that layer. I'm going to get rid of my scribbles here. Okay, so first things first, I guess my first problem was this dividing line we'll go with for now. Let's add that in. We're going to change the transparency a little bit. It's currently at 30%. We're going to give that 20. And we're going to zoom in just to see what that looks like. We can already see their brand colors are quite a strong black. So I'm going to take that down to 10%. And I'm also going to make sure it's aligned with this area, because that's probably where their guides sit. So I'm going to nudge that down now. Let's hide those. And let's zoom out a tiny bit so you can see what I'm doing. Right, so I'm going to nudge that down just a little bit. I can also see that their guides are a bit off here with the alignment. I would expect shopping bag to stop on the left of women, the same way the call to action here stops on the right of clearance. But that seems to be also ignored up here. Okay, it seems like there's a few alignment things that we could fix. So I guess I'll fix that alongside this, because I didn't notice that in my previous, when I was scribbling before. I'm going to replicate this area and then I'll show you how I'd change this. We'll go through a few options. So I guess first of all, we need a rectangle. Let's make sure it's exactly the same size. Bring that back in. Let's play with this a little bit. Perfect. And let's go to the width. Perfect. Okay. Gonna bring that across to our actual design. Let's rename that. Let's call that Redesign. And we're gonna paste that in here. Right, and then we're going to add we're just going to call this title for now, and we're going to call this, right, let's paste that in. Let's remove the space from there, it's not important. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to make that an auto layout, and we're going to bump that up also going to make this an auto layout as well for the whole thing. We are going to left align it, and we're going to bump that down. We're also going to take this in. We want this to wrap, and basically how they have it here is I'm going to hug contents there, and we'll hug contents there and bring this in actually. And it's this area that needs to be fill container. That also needs to be fill container. Perfect. And then we'll bring that in. That is exactly what they have, isn't it? Yep. Right, so what am I missing here? We want that fill, we want that fill as well. Ah, of course, I had some right margin. Let's take that off. Okay, and then we can knock down the font size here because it's a lot smaller than we have there. Okay, so we have roughly what Next have as well. Okay, so I mean, there's a change that's already been made by default in my previous video, but I would want that to be a semi-bold. I can see they've got some distance between the title and description there. So what I'll do is I will leave that because I think that works. That is 16 and the title is 18. If we can bump that to 19, that'll be fine. Actually gonna take that back down to 18. I think that I prefer that. Okay, so that's one variation. Another variation that I would want actually is if we separate these, this adds a group around our image. Then I'm going to paste the title in, and I'm going to have the title just here. I'm also going to duplicate the rectangle. I'm going to make it a mask, and then I'm going to duplicate this rectangle again, except I'm going to make this one here black. I'm going to bring it down, and then in our effects panel here we are going to select layer blur, and then I'm going to, holding shift, I'm going to tap the up arrow and I'm going to bump that up, and then I'm going to expand out. Oop, my fault. Let's select that. I'm going to expand that outwards and I'm going to pull that downwards. So what we have now is a gradient. I'm going to nudge down, and the title we're going to make white. Okay, so what that's going to do is lift the image off the ground, off the background that we go and get. So I will, I guess, go and get some images, and we can, what I'll do is that I'll put this one down here, and then we can zoom back in and let's create this area. So I'm going to group those, and I'm going to call that tile, and then I'm going to duplicate that, and that's to the right. What's the spacing they've got? I wonder if Figma has. No, I guess we're gonna have to do. I'm gonna have to guesstimate. 2 tiles, the space is currently 11. Looks about right. In fact, I'll go with 30, that's fine. How many do they have? That's 6 there, that's 4 that we've got, 5 and 6, looks about right. However, because I want this entire area to make sense in terms of the boundaries, I'm gonna bump up the margin between them, because they should all be aligned to this line right here. Okay, I'll leave that at 38. Okay, perfect. Let's go and get some images. Awesome. Okay, so we've replicated the images, and now I'm just gonna change these titles. Let's call that women. Guessing this is men. Girls and boys. Designer brands. And shoes. I'm going to leave the descriptions the same for now, just because it's not exactly what the video is about. But here's what we have so far. So we have all our images in, that's fine, and we have a comparison point. So what I'll do, so immediately as I can see, it's a lot cleaner. You've got a dividing line that's clearly separating the shopping basket and actually makes this area stand out a little bit more. And then you have each area which aligns with the with the dividers, which is great. And you've now got the separation of title and description, as opposed to what we had before, where we had no line, we had no separation in any way, shape or form, aside from a little gap, but the font sizes look, in fact these titles look considerably smaller than, they look a little bit smaller than the descriptions down below. So here's what we've got, which I'm quite a fan of. I think I may actually bump down these font sizes just a little bit more, and I'll take down the top as well. So that's 17 and this is 15. Okay. Okay, so that's selection number 1. I think I'm going to prefer this one just because it's going to look a lot more stylized. But let's go on to our second rendition. So I will delete that. Let's bring back in guides for a little bit. I'll paste that one in at the end, and I'm going to copy that image. Let's see if I can paste to replace. There you go. That hasn't worked as. No, that's actually fine. Perhaps this rectangle is. What's the size of this? 252. Ah, it's our rectangle. It's also this as well. So if our mask is a bit larger, it's gonna make it look like the area is bigger. So I can do that, and then I'm going to nudge up our title, and then I'm gonna nudge this whole area up. If we come up here to our frame, there we go, that's what we're looking for. And if women are on the far left, we're gonna just nudge that across. Oh no, that's actually in the right place, it's called shoes. My fault, my fault. And we don't want that to be fixed in any way, shape or form. Just increase that across, and I want to up this. There we go. I'm going to duplicate that. I'm going to swap this one with paste to replace. That's designer brands. Again, I'm going to duplicate that. That's boys. Copy. Right click. Paste to replace. Delete. So, what I immediately notice is that this gradient looks a little bit too harsh. So I'm going to bring that down a tad bit. And I'm also going to play with the transparency a little bit. So that's at 80%, that's at 90%, that's what it was before. 80, 70. I quite like 80, so I'm going to leave that there. I'm also going to nudge it down a little bit. What do you guys think about that? If we zoom in, zoom out. So this is what it would look like at 100% basically. And I think that is, I love that. I think that's really clean. I think that's really clean. The only thing I'd probably do is bring let's put that there. Okay. So here's version number 2. Here's version number 1. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And here is the original. So we can already see it's a really big step up from what we had previously. I'm now going to focus on this area and bring that over to our 2 designs here. And what I will do first is increase the artboard sizes. And I will do just that much for both. And let's create our carousel items. So I'm going to this screen whilst I design this out. So I'm going to hold shift whilst I draw. I'm going to zoom in, I'm going to duplicate that. And this is going to be black. And I'll put these in the auto layout so I can control the distance separately from the other 2. I'm going to sample the color we have here. But I always like to add a little transparency to my deselected carousel item. So I'm going to set that to 40%. And those look like, for lack of a better option, you know what, I'm going to add in what I think they should be. I won't worry about what's existing. I'm going to double click on that and I'm going to bring this right over holding shift. And then I'm going to rotate that. And I'm also going to, we're going to hack this for a little bit. And I'm going to make that white. And you'll see why in a minute. And I'm going to make the bottom one black. And then I'm going to nudge that across. I'm going to group that. I'm going to duplicate. I'm going to rotate this way. Okay, there we have it. But I do want to make these smaller. These don't need to be that big. Perfect. And I'm going to select both. I'm going to press K, which takes us to our scale tool. I'm going to hold shift. I'm going to bring these down a little bit. And then I'm going to move them about there. And then I'm going to group the whole thing. And we're going to call that carousel actions. And I'm going to zoom out a little bit. I'm going to drag this across. I'm going to center a line in the screen. I'm just causing a bit of a weird view here. Let me just move that across. Okay, perfect. That's now in the wrong place. Okay, and I'll zoom in. Set an auto layout for that actually, and I'm going to hit the 3 dots. I'm going to change that to space between because I want to be able to do that. And let's give this a bit more spacing. Okay, perfect. So that's the carousel item I prefer. it's not so tight to the top area. Let's group these. I'm going to select that and select that, and I'm going to group that. I'm not going to make an auto layout because I can still play with the margin of this. I'm going to set that to 35, and this is what we have. So huge difference to the spacing here and the distance here, and it's a lot cleaner. What I would do is also copy our friend. Let's fix the width of this as well, and we're going to paste it there, bring it down to the bottom. It looks to already be in the center. I guess I'm going to have the same problem here with the width being, there we go. I'm going to group that and I'll give that 35 again. So here's where we started with. I'll give you a clean view of this actually. And I'll take off all our scribbles. So here's what we started with. Save for later on, I'm going to ignore. But we started with this area here, shopping bag being empty, and we had quite a few category tiles here, which is nice. The images sold it, but the titles didn't stand out, and the spacing of this was, for lack of a better word, not fantastic. And here's what we have now. We have this version where we have simply bumped up the font size on the title. We have added some space in between the title and the description. We've added a bit more space in between here. We've also added a dividing line so you can clearly see that these are two separate items. And then we've also redesigned their category selector, their carousel actions, and we've given it a bit of spacing between both the category area itself and each element. Then we moved over to here and we got a bit more stylized, and we basically created the category area with the title within the image, added a gradient background, created a mask, and then slot our images in. And there we have it. Let me know what you prefer. Let me know your thoughts. Have we made it better? Have I failed? It's up to you guys to decide. Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you on the next one.